Adaaaaa. You're watching the number one podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, and I'm your host, Jean-Paul Leek, and this is Rope Break. How we doing, family? Here we are Tuesday morning, and you know what time it is, Monday Night Raw review, and, we're getting into the build for Elimination Chamber, clearly, better late than never. It's a week away from Sunday, so some pretty good build, lots of major announcements for the show. The card is actually shaping out, I personally think, to be pretty decent show with what we get, from modern wrestling shows nowadays. But, I'm excited for it nonetheless. And, I hope you guys are too, because, we're going to be talking about it. Because like I said, instead of doing the build, let's have this build nice for a couple weeks. No, it's just all crammed together. But that's because the Royal Rumble, you want to think about it. The Royal Rumble just ended. And now we're already Elimination Chamber built. There's no time in between these pay-per-views. So the build doesn't feel special. But that's not a new problem. That's been going on since they do a monthly pay-per-view thing. And especially when you have two big name pay-per-views like Elimination Chamber and Royal Rumble back to back. It doesn't make either of them almost feel any special. So speaking of specials, though, they did start off. They had a tribute screen to Butch Reed, which was nice. And then we see a highlight video, the long friendship between Sheamus and Drew and everything. So, leading up to the Celtic Warriors attack on the champion last week. So it's like, okay, that's kind of the main theme going forward. And we thought it was going to be a singles match, maybe at Elimination Chamber or something like that. No, because let's get into the announcement and we'll see what happens. So Adam Pearce, he pretty much introduced it. He comes out and then he's like, oh, I want to introduce the return of Shane McMahon. So Shane comes out, here comes the money. Everybody, pops for that, I guess. I know Juan did, but no. I mean, he might have, but it's like, okay, let's see what, Shane-O has to say. And he says that it's great to be back in the Thunderdome. He loves being in WWE during WrestleMania season. Adam Pearce confirms that Drew McIntyre will defend his championship inside Elimination Chamber. So there you go. That's a big announcement. Really cool there. Lots of speculation now. Maybe he will lose it and then, to a heel. And then that will be who Edge challenges if they're not going to do the Roman Reigns thing. So who knows? This is all up in the air. And Shane asks who else will be in the match. And Pearce says that they will all be former WWE champions. So Randy Orton, Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, The Miz, and Sheamus. And Shane says that that's a blockbuster match. And Adam is doing a brilliant job and he leaves. So that was pretty much it by Shane McMahon. The big return. He just, strokes Adam Pearce's ego like, oh, yeah, good job, and leaves. So. I mean, what was really the point of that? But I am excited for that match announcement. 6 legit guys in there. Well, 5 in the Miz. So, I mean, this should still turn out to be a really good match. Pearce looks baffled as Shane leaves. AJ's music hits. Styles and Shane stare at each other on the ramp before Shane heads back. And AJ says Shane is right. Pearce is doing a great job. AJ loves the idea that Drew has to defend his championship against 5 other guys inside the chamber. His chances of losing are phenomenal. It's the perfect time to become a 3-time WWE champion. So he's going to give a little sneak peek of what he's going to do inside the chamber. Jeff Hardy makes his entrance and he'll be facing AJ after the break. So pretty good opening segment there. I did like, obviously the announcement. I did like the stare down between Shane and AJ, kind of like, rehashing their old rivalry, WrestleMania match, everything. So they just kind of look, it's like, okay. But I mean, this was, really good. I did enjoy that. So. And then we're back and Shane, he's getting into his car backstage. Drew stops him and says he would have appreciated a heads up before the announcement and he would like to have preferred a one-on-one match with Sheamus. Shane says, with all due respect, they need a big main event and nothing is bigger than McIntyre defending the title inside the WWE chamber. And if Drew is a fighting champion he claims to be, then he won't mind. So then we get Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles with Omos. And this was a really good match, great opening match to start, to start the show. 2 guys who know what they're doing in the ring, fans love them and get behind these 2 guys and they can tell a story. That's the main thing. They're not just doing moves and you don't know what's going on. They told the story. Jeff Hardy was the clear baby face, injured knee, AJ Styles calf crusher, going after that knee, the leg, pretty much the entire match. Chop blocks to Jeff and everything. And, Jeff, he tried fighting back and everything, but AJ just kept, every time Jeff was starting mounting offense, boom, AJ would just go after the knee, chop block the knee, like I said. So this was really good. Of course, Omos was there as well. At the end of this thing, Jeff lifts AJ for an atomic drop and then a drop kick and a leg drop for a 2 count. Hardy slams AJ for another 2 count, and then he wants a twist of fate, but AJ kicks out the leg, and he looks for a Styles clash, but Jeff counters into a twist of fate. Jeff scales the top rope with some difficulty, but he's able to hit a swanton, but AJ rolls out of the way. Styles goes back to the calf crusher after the failed swanton attempt, and Jeff taps out. So really good match. At this point, it was already about 8:30 in the show, and I thought, okay, the first half an hour went by quick. It was rolling, and that's what I like. But then kind of dragged a little bit after that, as we'll, see here. So, and then later tonight, we will have Riddle. He will face Keith Lee for the first time in WWE. And we see a replay of last week when Lashley got disqualified against Riddle in the United States Championship match. So Keith Lee's backstage. Riddle approaches him. Lee remarks that he has a big black eye. And Riddle says that, Lashley got him good last week, but he went home, got a little toasty, watched the Air Bud movies, and he feels great. Lee says Lashley might have knocked a screw loose, and he asks Riddle if he should keep chasing the United States Championship even though he gets beaten down each week. Riddle says that people said Air Bud couldn't play basketball, but he did, and all he wants to do is win the U.S. title. So Lee says that it might be time for someone else to step up to the challenge for the U.S. title, and he has what it takes to win the belt, and he also has what it takes to beat Riddle tonight. So Riddle slaps him on the back and says, "May the best man win." And I love the Air Bud comparison because it's like both of them are like, just dumb golden retrievers, as in Matt Riddle and Air Bud. It's like they're both just like dogs. You know what I mean? He went from stallion to dog here. So, but this was going to be a good match. You knew it would. And what we're going to see at Elimination Chamber is even better. So then when we come back from commercial, Sheamus confronts Adam Pearce backstage, and he's pissed. He says that he promised them a one-on-one title match, but now he has to share it with 4 other men. Pearce says that he just wanted to book the biggest main event. Sheamus asks if he thinks that he isn't a draw. Sheamus says that it's been suits like Pearce who come and go and they never last. And he says that this is all Pearce's fault, and what he does at Elimination Chamber lies on his shoulders. So who knows? Maybe we could see something. Sheamus gets eliminated, not first, but maybe a little bit early on. And before he leaves the chamber, he beats the shit out of Drew or something, which causes Drew to get eliminated. Who knows what the case will be, but I hope there's something. I hope that's not just like, an empty threat. So then, like I said, for stuff that wasn't so good, we go to the New Day versus Retribution. And this was Slapjack and T-Bar, and they were going against, obviously, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. And Juan says it, I say it, a lot of other people say it. Unless you're under the age of 12, the New Day is stale. The New Day is boring. Nobody likes the New Day anymore, but they keep winning. They don't lose to get other teams over. It's not like, oh, we'll put the Hurt Business over. We'll put Retribution over. No, they don't do it. They just keep winning. It's like, I can't even think they're like the Young Bucks, but at least they're not as annoying, I guess, or they are maybe even more annoying, but in different ways. I don't really know. So you had Mustafa Ali on commentary, which was really good. I like that his intensity. He's like, they're all eating. He's like, it's our turn to eat, and just really good stuff. But like, who do you think, like I said, who do you think won this? Obviously the New Day. At the end of this, T-Bar chokes Woods, and then he tags Slapjack so they can hit a double team choke slam for a near fall. And then Kingston, he does the tag and runs over to Slapjack with axe handles and a drop kick. Then he knocks T-Bar off the apron. Kofi hits a running clothesline and a boom drop. Then he teases Mustafa Ali on commentary, but T-Bar runs at Kofi, runs at Kofi on the apron, but it gets hit with a Trouble in Paradise. Woods tags in, and the New Day hit the daybreak for the win. So as soon as the bell rings, Ali's pissed. He loses it. T-Bar and Mace run into the ring, but the New Day are long gone. And Xavier's like, I want Reckoning. I want Reckoning. He wants to have an intergender match with Reckoning. Why? So you can beat her? It's like, let this stable alone. You guys have done enough damage. They were trying to become legit, and you just pretty much buried them, and nobody likes you anyway. So what's the point? Then Bianca Belair, she will be on Raw tonight, and she may or may not make her decision about her WrestleMania opponent. Spoilers, she does not. So then Ric Flair, he comes to the ring with Lacey Evans at his side, and they'll be confronted by Charlotte Flair. Damian Priest is also backstage with Bad Bunny, and they're speaking Spanish, joking around, having a good time. I don't know if we mentioned it here on the channel, but pretty much this whole relationship with Bad Bunny is, one, he's a huge WWE fan, so we'll be seeing him, pretty often, and also they're using him and his popularity with Damian Priest to try to get Damian Priest over, because they really want to get Damian Priest over as the next big Latin star, because I guess Angel Garza and Andrade didn't cut it for him. Who knows? But, they're using Damian Priest in that role now. So hopefully, they found their guy, because Priest is too legit to not use. So, and then Ric Flair, he's in the ring, and he says that it seems to him that some people want an explanation as to why he's been mainlining, and he says that he doesn't take orders from any women. Check his records. He isn't staying at home, and he's sick of hearing about Charlotte when he should be hearing about Tom Brady. Okay, Flair, calm down. And then he said he's met someone with all the looks, talent, and style to be a star, and all she needs is a little coaching. So he's serving a notice to Asuka that Lacey Evans will be the next Raw Women's Champion. Lacey says that nobody knows what's going on. She thinks Ric Flair is cute, but their relationship is platonic, and she respects him for what he is, a legend, she says. Charlotte is great, but we all know that. But she would never, ever speak to her father the way Charlotte does. Charlotte comes to the ring, and she looks pissed. Charlotte says that if Lacey wanted to learn something, she would go to Orlando and train in the Performance Center. But instead, she took her dad, and she sees that this is and she's seen this a million times. Lacey then she tries to speak, but Charlotte shuts her up. Charlotte says that for the last 7 years, she's been trying to protect and add to the Flair legacy, and she says that she has no idea how he looks from the outside, so she's telling him. Lacey says they shouldn't be fighting and that they'd make a great partners. Rick loves that idea. He's like, yeah, you can dump that, that weirdo Asuka and, be partners with Lacey Evans. Charlotte says that she hasn't come this far just to come this far. And she's like, I don't need your help. And she says that she hopes Rick and Lacey are happy together. Evans says that it just so happens that if she beats Charlotte in this match, she'd be next on line to face Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte says that that's fine. They can go right now. Rick protests, but Lacey floors Charlotte with the microphone. Flair rolls out. Lacey chases after, slamming her into the steel steps before she accepts the match. So we go to commercial break, and when we come back, we get this match underway. And this, the story of this was just like, I think Charlotte had like an injured shoulder, maybe from getting thrown into the ring steps. Maybe it was a nagging injury from a little bit earlier on, but that was the story. But it was still Super Saiyan Charlotte. She was still just beating the shit out of Lacey Evans. Rick tried to get involved, but Charlotte stopped herself on the apron. And, before, like, she was just yelling at him. So Lacey takes advantage. She slams Charlotte. And, this thing keeps going on and on. But eventually, Charlotte loses it. Lacey Evans is in the corner, and she just keeps beating her down and down, kicking her. The ref, he's like, hey, stop. It's clearly past the 5 count. She doesn't. Rick comes into the ring to stop her. But, this thing was already ended in a DQ. So technically, Lacey Evans won by DQ, which means she beat Charlotte, which means she will have a Raw Women's Championship match against Asuka at the Elimination Chamber. And if I had to make a bold prediction here, I'm going to say she's going to win it, and then Charlotte's going to win at WrestleMania. That's how I see WWE booking it, which if that's the case, I feel bad for Asuka, because just since she was given the Raw Women's Championship, I can't remember a single feud that she had that was legit. There was no one-on-one with Shayna Baszler, no Rhea Ripley, nothing like that. No, like a legit feud, nothing. So, and I know Rhea Ripley just came up, but at least if you would have did that, it would have made more sense. Or at least it would have been a better matchup, and then you could have did Rhea versus Charlotte again. Rhea gets her victory over Charlotte, because Lacey, yeah, she's good. I won't say, she doesn't deserve to ever be a champion, but, when you have these other caliber of women and you're just doing the storyline with Ric Flair, because, maybe if we put Ric Flair on TV, our ratings will go up. No, if you put on good matches, consistently for weeks on end, not 1 or 2 weeks in a row, and then go back to your bullshit. No, for weeks on end, your show and the ratings will go up. So then after the break, Edge will join us to possibly make his WrestleMania opponent decision. Again, spoiler alert, he does not. The rated R superstar Edge comes to the ring. Edge says that last week was a hell of a long one, but a fun one. It left him with a conundrum in who he wants to face at WrestleMania. It might seem like an easy decision on the face of it, but he needed to get a lay of the land. That's why he went to Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. He came face to face with all WWE champions, and he was ready to make a choice. But now there's pretty, just like collusion or something you could say in the works. The Elimination Chamber is coming up, and he has no idea who is walking out as the champion. He said, no offense to any guy in that match, but he fancies his chances against all of them. But he doesn't fancy Drew's chances. So it doesn't make sense for him to make a decision until the dust settles from Elimination Chamber. I almost thought Edge was going to try to insert himself in the chamber. And then when we see who comes out, that's who I really thought was going to be the one, who gets maybe kicked out of this chamber. So the Miz, Morrison, and Angel Garza, they come down. Now we see Garza. Like I said, he should have been the next Latin superstar. Now he's, pretty much the third guy in this loser faction. So he comes down to the ring. The Miz mocks Edge, and Miz says that he knows Edge is merely waiting for the ultimate opportunity to strike, whereas he's always been more of a strategist. Miz says that it doesn't matter who Edge faces because he will be there with the Money in the Bank contract and he will leave WrestleMania as WWE champion. Edge asks if Miz knows who the hell he is. He said, I put that Money in the Bank briefcase on the map, and he knows the second that he lifts the title at WrestleMania, he will have eyes in the back of his head. But Miz came out here just to, told him exactly what he plans to do. Edge says that he's thinking on a different level, operating on a different level. And he's not content being awesome. He did that 20 years ago, and Miz wants to be champion. Well, he needs it. And after the break, Garza will be in action against Damian Priest. So good promo by Edge. Miz, okay, they're hinting that, they're teasing it. Who knows? Maybe Miz will cash in at Elimination Chamber, and that will be the big Mania match. It'll be Edge versus Miz. I don't know. Like I keep saying every week, Miz is such a wild card with this briefcase. It's like he never cashes in. He's like the boy who cries wolf. Are you ever going to cash in? Because when you do, you'll be, oh, Morrison cashed in. Or, oh, now this time it'll be Angel Garza cashed in for me. It wasn't me. And he'll be giving the briefcase back. And it's so stupid. I really wish that Otis would have just cashed in, failed, and then that just would have been the end of the briefcase. So then we see Damian Priest with Bad Bunny versus Angel Garza with Miz and Morrison. And, you had too many people involved in this, too many, just too much shenanigans for me to care about this. So this would have just been Damian Priest versus Angel Garza, one-on-one, nobody on the outside. I would have enjoyed this a lot more. But, of course, Bunny gets on the apron and all this stuff. And, then Miz and Morrison, they get on the apron and distractions and all this stuff. To me, it doesn't make a good match. It makes a bullshit AEW, WCW, one of those kind of, we don't know how to book a good wrestling match, but it doesn't, do anything to get these guys over. But at the end of this thing, Garza distracts the referee, allowing Miz and Morrison to beat Priest down. Bad Bunny then takes the Money in the Bank briefcase and throws it into the ring. Miz and Morrison then run to get it, and the referee ejects them from ringside. Garza is mad and shouts at Bunny from the ring, but Damian Priest grabs him, hits the Reckoning for the win. At least we got the right winner in this bullshit garbage match. So then Charlie Caruso, she's backstage and she interviews Drew McIntyre, asking how he feels about Elimination Chamber. Drew says that it's WrestleMania season, so you have to expect the unexpected. Just like that, just like what Sheamus did last week. He says he doesn't get it because Sheamus could just have asked for a title match, but tonight is to focus on Randy Orton, who might try to tear him a muscle, break his jaw, who knows. Then there's The Miz with his briefcase. Edge with his Royal Rumble win. Sheamus attacking him. People like Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles on his peripheral. You might think he would crack under the pressure, but he welcomes the challenge. Then we see Bianca Belair. She's also interviewed, and she says that she's the smartest, so she isn't making her decision hastily. Belair says that she might pick Sasha, and she says that she might pick Asuka. If she wants to, put the EST in WrestleMania, she needs to choose carefully. Asuka appears and congratulates Bianca, but she says winning the Rumble does not mean she's ready for Asuka. Belair says she's definitely ready, but Lacey is not. And then they dance together. Bianca then handles her business Bianca then says if Asuka handles her business at Elimination Chamber, she might be seeing a lot more of her. So, if that's the match we get at WrestleMania, at least it'll mean Asuka beat Lacey Evans at Elimination Chamber, right? But who knows? We'll see. Then we see Riddle versus Keith Lee. This match was really good. MVP was on commentary. He had the United States Championship there with him. So, that was like, hey, this is the prize people are fighting for. And you think, well, why is he out there? Why isn't it Lashley? Or why does he even have the belt? Like I said, it should be Lashley out there with the belt, or it should just be MVP with no belt. But that comes into play later, folks. Don't worry. So, this was really good. Riddle pretty much the whole thing. He was just working over the arm bar, a couple spots, he just kept getting the arm bar on Keith Lee. Keith Lee would pick him up, power bomb him, throw him into the apron, whatever. But Riddle was just like, he kept holding on. I love when he hits like the what do they call it? Twisting bro, or the broton or whatever, when he just does like a corkscrew, like senton almost, just like legit stuff. Matt Riddle's so good. Whether you don't like him as a character or whatever, but in the ring, like I always say, when the bell rings, Matt Riddle can go. But at the end of this thing, Riddle hits 3 brotons in a row, then attempts a final flash, but Lee catches his knee. Lee attempts a spirit bomb again, but Riddle counters with an armbar. Lee tries to curl him again, but Riddle cranks it, and Lee falls to a knee. But Lee lifts him up and slams Riddle, but Riddle holds on. So Lee lifts him up again and power bombs him into the buckles. Riddle runs and connects with a final flash, and he attempts for another, but gets caught with the spirit bomb for the 1, 2, 3. So this was a really good match. This, along with the AJ Styles match, Jeff Hardy, and then I would say the main event was a very good match as well. So those were the 3 standouts I thought on this show. So after the match, Lee lifts Riddle to his feet and they shake hands. So good show there. Keith Lee had a little bit of a character, because he's just like, oh, I know I could beat you. So you're like, is this just confidence or is this maybe a heel turn? We don't know. But the sign of respect there was good by these 2 baby faces. But then suddenly Bobby Lashley, he slams into Lee from behind. He knocks Riddle down as well. Lee turns around, stares at Lashley, and then runs, but he gets caught with a one-handed spine buster. The fact that he hit a one-handed spine buster on Keith Lee, Bobby Lashley's just so legit. I think he's like 44, 45 years old. So he's older than AJ Styles, and this dude is in probably the best shape of his life. So Bobby Lashley, all the respect from me. And then Lashley, he grabs Riddle in the hurt lock and then shakes him senseless. Lashley then turns to see Lee on the apron and spears him off. Lashley then slams Lee onto the steps. And then the ring post, Lashley grabs the steel steps, hits Lee in the face, sending him crashing over the announce desk. And Lashley poses with the United States Championship on the announce table. So really good stuff. They announced this will be a triple threat match at the Elimination Chamber for the United States Championship. And this is how you treat a mid-card champion and, a mid-card, just the mid-card title. And, almost don't even want to call it a mid-card title and a mid-card champion because of how legit Lashley is. But compare this to Big E and the Intercontinental Championship. It's like day and night. Look how legit this feels compared to Big E. So maybe it's not, oh, the New Day needs to split up and be singles. Look how legit they would be. I'm not seeing it. So then when we come back from commercial, we see a video of Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre feud. The 2 will square off in tonight's main event. Randy Orton is backstage, and he says he has unfinished business with Drew, and it's the fact that Drew took the title from him, but it's also the fact that he will be taking it back at Elimination Chamber. It's no secret he will do what it takes to get the title, and this time it's no different. He will kick any legend or set anyone on fire, whatever it takes. Tonight, Drew gets reintroduced to the Legend Killer. So up next, we have a tables match, and out comes Nia Jax with Shayna Baszler. So this was Lana with Naomi versus Nia Jax with Shayna Baszler. And this, obviously, like I said, was a tables match. So, I guess this is because she kept slamming her through the announce desk for how many weeks in a row. Would Lana get her revenge? Yes, she would. Because at the end of this thing, they're tumbling all over the place. And I'm just going to skip right to the end because this, I do give Lana credit. Like I said, she's getting better, but when you can't put her in there with somebody like Nia Jax and expect a good match. Not at this stage in her career. And as bad as Nia Jax is, I don't think at the stage of anyone's career. I don't even know if Charlotte could bring Nia to a good match. So, they tumble over the ropes and onto the apron. Lana kicks her in the face and Nia teeters over the table. Nia headbutts Lana and stands on her throat. Nia attempts a leg drop, but Lana moves, and Nia Jax screams, "Oh my God, my hole!" So I don't know about that one. I thought this was a PG show, but Lana, she gets out, and then she shoves Nia through a table that's propped up on the barricade. So, there we go. Your winner is Lana. After the match, Shayna Baszler comes in and punches Lana, but Naomi hits her with a springboard kick, and Shayna retreats. So then we come back from commercial break. We have Naomi versus Shayna Baszler. So an impromptu match. I was like, is this also a tables match? What's the point of this? Is this, number one is this like, oh, if you beat us, you have the title match? I really didn't understand what this was. But again, a very quick match. Just I didn't care for it because I already knew, oh, they're going to job out Shayna. Shayna's not going to win this thing. So at the end of it, Baszler counters into a Kirifuda clutch, but Naomi rolls to the ropes. Shayna gets out of the ring and attacks Lana for no reason. Again, what the hell are you doing? Slamming her onto the barricade. Baszler gets back in, and Naomi rolls her up for the win just like that. Does anybody care about this feud? No. These titles, Lana and Naomi, at least they're doing something with them, I guess, but does anybody want to see that? No, because none of these women feel legit. And is this how you're going to make them feel legit? Winning in a bullshit way? Or, should they have decent matches and win that way? And, have story, cut a promo, get us to like them as a character, as a person, not just how they look or, just, oh, they win, so I'm supposed to like them. No, you need to make me like them as a person. So then we see a hype video for the Elimination Chamber match with highlights from previous years. Really good hype package. I like that. WWE, that's the one thing they could do consistently good is create these hype packages. So then here we are, folks, the final stretch, the main event. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. And like I said, this was a really good match. Pretty much Orton, he tries for an RKO right off the bat. He looks for a Claymore. They roll outside, regroup. It's like these two, they don't miss a beat. They've had so many matches together. The chemistry is so good. It's so there. And both these guys feel main event. When you see them wrestle, you think, oh, okay, this is one of those things in the 80s, or early 90s. These guys could have did a house show circuit and people would pay to see this each and every time. It's just nowadays wrestling fans are spoiled and they go, oh, we have to see this match again. And it's like, well, at least these two guys are legit. But I guess, I don't know, maybe they'd rather see a 5'4", flippy guy versus two actual grown men going at each other. But hey, that's just me. Who am I? So, like I said, really good match. Drew hits the draping DDT, kind of mocking Orton and all this stuff. It's just really good chemistry. And don't be surprised if Randy Orton, walks out as WWE champion, because then what better story would it be for Edge to challenge Randy Orton at WrestleMania? So, that's just my little prediction here. But at the end of this thing, Orton drags Drew through the ropes. He hits the draping DDT, kind of like, screw you. Commentary was even saying, Randy Orton is showing Drew how it's done. And then he slithers around, readying himself. Orton looks for the RKO. McIntyre catches him with the Future Shock DDT. McIntyre, he looks ready. He lines up the Claymore, but Sheamus runs in and inadvertently hits Orton with a bro kick. Drew follows up with a Claymore to Sheamus. So technically, winner by disqualification is Randy Orton. And then the show comes to a close with Drew staring down Sheamus, lifting his WWE Championship and holding it above both men. And, that was it. I mean, it was a very good match. I did kind of skip through it, huge superplex by Randy Orton, the shades of his father, Bob Orton. So, I mean, this was just it was a really good match. Like I said, the main event, Keith Lee and Riddle and AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. Go check those matches out if you can. Watch the highlights on YouTube. Really good stuff. But that was Monday Night Raw, a decent show. I will, for 3 hours, this was decent. Cut out a lot of the stuff with the women wasn't very good. The stuff with Miz, I could always do without. But otherwise, pretty decent show. I can't complain too much. And if I did, it wouldn't do me any good anyway. So, but, I am excited for Elimination Chamber. Lots of possibilities. I mean, there are some dark horses, maybe AJ Styles. He said he wanted a match with Edge. That would be fresh. That would be something cool, because we did see Edge beat Randy Orton that night on Raw, and they said that ended the feud. So who knows? I mean, in WWE, nothing's ever ended. How many Shield reunions did we see? How many times did The Undertaker come back? You know what I mean? So nothing's ever done in WWE, but we'll see. That's why I like the Chamber, especially this one, because the title's on the line. There's so many possibilities. So this is fantastic. And guys, thank you so much for watching the review. And make sure you follow us on all the social media. Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, right here, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break. We appreciate all the love and the support. Like I said, comment, like the video, say, hey, did you like the Chamber build? Who do you think's going to win? Do you like The Miz and Bad Bunny? Am I the one who's crazy? Do you love table matches with Lana and Nia Jax out my hole? Please tell us in the comments, let us know, and we will see you next time with NXT.